Oliver, I knew, was a lying, dishonest, disingenuous, gutless little. And by the second day, now I was well rested. I knew I was going to just eviscerate this guy. I knew I was going to eviscerate this guy badly. I've heard his stupid ass talking points many, many times, and so that's exactly what I did. Sat down with him and eviscerated his ass for hours, and I wasn't going to let him get away with shit, and I didn't. And I made him apologize to Jim Bob too, which he needed to do. You know what I mean? He needed to do it. Now it's really funny with Oliver. He tries to cut all these clips, trying to make his opposition look like they're PDFs and that they're, making light of SA and all sorts of different. But he can't really think that I'm such a bad guy, considering the fact that he sent me a DM so that he could hang out with me the next day. He wanted to hang out the next day, or yeah, the next day before his flight, he wanted to hang out. Boy, do you usually go hang out with the guys who are the biggest monsters on planet Earth? So I found out the reason that he did that he does this, that he hyper focuses on the aspect of his opposition being creepy weirdos, because Oliver himself was caught up in a scandal where when he was younger, I guess, beginning of his TikTok career, the accusation is that he was underage girls on I don't remember if it was on TikTok or during some type of call that he was on, but that's the accusation. And then he came back and rebranded himself as Super Ultra Feminist 9000 as part of the humiliation ritual that leftists generally have to go through in order to be kind of considered back into the mainstream again. As an attorney, arguing and focusing for hours at a time is physically exhausting. It's surprising how draining it is. Yeah, it's very draining. Very draining. Yeah, you didn't know that? Here, how about I just show it to you guys?
Hey guys, Joseph the World here. Sorry it's been a week, but I've just been busy. Anyway, let's get into the point of today's video. Today we're going to be talking about Oliver Niehaus, a TikToker, or was a TikToker with almost 700,000 followers before he got banned, which I'm not surprised by considering what we know now. Now, originally this dude was accused of grooming minors and some other things I'm unaware of, but probably aren't as bad as this accusation. But I'm not going to talk about the other situations. I'm going to talk about the grooming accusations, which it doesn't look.
Here, there's better ones. I would prefer to listen to somebody that I can understand.
It's always the people that you're not supposed to be worrying about being the people that you need to worry about. Today we're talking about Oliver Niehaus, a liberal political TikToker who was the face of liberal logic. He would go on Omegle and he would absolutely destroy people in debates.
Well, he didn't destroy me in a debate. In fact, the opposite happened, where Oliver got completely eviscerated on almost every single point that he made.
That he himself forced upon people. He is the king of having no life, sitting on Omegle and just arguing politics all day, as if that's going to do the world any good. Well, unfortunately, like Joe Rogan and Calvin Brandel, some other liberal political TikTokers, he was exposed for exposing himself. He exposed himself on FaceTime to a underage girl without her consent. No matter what he says, no matter how long he tries to refute it, what he is saying is not true at all. He actually debunks his own arguments in his apology videos about what he did, but he whipped out his to a little girl on FaceTime, and now he's made a comeback on TikTok. This was a affair that happened months before
The ones who scream the loudest are the ones who are guilty the most.
I even started YouTube, but he's now decided to come back. I left a comment on his TikTok saying, "We aren't going to forget what you did to that girl." My comment was deleted, and I was blocked. Most of his comments are extremely filtered. If you leave a comment related to this situation, you will be blocked by him, and your comment will be deleted. He is ashamed that he has done this, and we should continue to make him feel ashamed for what he did to this little girl. Now I'm going to let Oliver explain what he did.
Hey, so let's talk. I want to make it very clear that I was never planning on leaving this situation entirely. I just needed to take a break for my own mental health. But it's definitely time to address the situation. My only request is that you watch this whole video before commenting. The main allegation you've probably heard is that I exposed myself to an underage girl without her consent. Now, it is indeed true that I exposed myself to a 15-year-old girl over FaceTime when I was 17.
I would not date a woman. Please don't read this out loud. Oh, Oliver, 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 Oliver.
Exposed myself to an underage girl without her consent.
Poor, poor Oliver.
It's definitely time to address the situation. My only request is that you watch this whole video before commenting. The main allegation you've probably heard is that I exposed myself to an underage girl without her consent. Now, it is indeed true that I exposed myself to a 15-year-old girl over FaceTime when I was 17.
Well, here's the thing. It's not the age in question that it was a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old. It's the exposing yourself to a girl on FaceTime at all is gross, right? That's creepy-ass behavior. I don't know why people are focusing on the age thing, which is not really the primary focus here. The primary focus here would be that he's exposing himself to girls on FaceTime, which is disturbing pervert behavior. This is a bummer. I just thought he was young and misguided, not a total piece of shit. Yeah.
But to suggest that it was without consent is just not true. I'm going to walk through this entire situation to give you the necessary context. But I also request that you read the document in my bio in its entirety for more context. This describes that situation and much more. So let's walk through that night, and everything I'm going to say is in that document. So this was in August of 2020. I had been on political TikTok for a few months, and I was...
Without her consent, arguably, even if you had her consent, it wouldn't make it okay. I hope he would believe the same thing. Remember how Oliver was trying to clip me out to be some kind of like SA guy or somehow perverse or perverted, or even a PDF because I said that age gap relationships between adults were perfectly acceptable? That's what he thinks is PDF behavior, but not this. This isn't PDF behavior. Just when adults have age gap relationships, that's when it becomes brilliant analysis from Oliver, huh?
I was in a group.
And the thing is like, I wouldn't even be doing this to this guy right now, except for the fact that he completely and totally dishonestly tried to clip Jim Bob, make him out to be a PDF, and then tried to clip me as though I was an SA apologist when I was bringing up a point for his logical consistency. And he knew it and even admitted that that was the case and did it anyway. Loved watching you wreck those clowns. Keep up the good work. Will do.
Group FaceTime call with a few political TikTokers. And there was a 15-year-old. Her name was Megan. I had barely any previous contact with her. I had never really talked with her at length. So this was really my first real interaction with her. And her friend, who was 16, were talking about some of their fantasies and all of the political TikTokers they had sent nude photos to. I wasn't engaging in the conversation, but as it continued, I Snapchatted Megan and said, "Hey, do you send pics?" And she responded with a topless photo of herself saying, "Yeah, smiley face." So I was a bit shocked because she was incredibly open about the entire thing. So I responded back with a picture of my face, and then she responded back with a topless photo. To which I responded with a picture of my face, and then she responded with a topless photo again. And this cycle of her sending topless photos without me even asking and me sending back pictures of my face occurred probably 15 or 20 times. So then I send a nude photo to her. And she says, "That should be down my throat." I'm a little stunned by this, so I say some snarky remark like, "I don't know if it'll fit." To which she responds with, "Come to Vermont, we will try." So I'm just shocked in general. I think that there's no way that this girl could be made uncomfortable by things that are in nature. Or if she was, she would tell me because she's been so forward about this. So then 5 to 10 minutes later, I hop on a FaceTime call with her and her friend who's 16, who had also been sending me pictures, and I expose myself. So when I add that necessary context, I don't see how it's non-consensual.
Because consent is saying yes. Now, what you were trying to... By the way, why were you exposing yourself with our friend there? Did her friend, who was 16, ask you to expose yourself to her? Because you did that to her. And then...
Remember, this is a group chat.
And you exposed herself without you asking her, hey, is it okay if I whip out my PP on FaceTime? And her saying, hey, whip out your PP on FaceTime. You just whipped it out. You just whipped that whippersnipper on out there. Can you not see how that is not consent? Now, you might have thought it was consent in your head because you had already been Snapchatting her, but under your logic, let's just say that I've been texting a girl and then I'm with her in real life, and I just assume that she wants to have sex. So I just start having sex with her without her saying yes, without her giving me any type of consent at all. I just go at it. You're telling me that that's consent? No. So I don't really see I don't really see how you're seeing this as consent, but you know what? Carry on, I guess.
We were just a bunch of teenagers. If a girl sends you about 20 topless photos and then says that she wants your down her throat and that you should come to her home state to have sex with her, and then you show her your...
Remember how Oliver said that he wants all of his women to be certified pre... I feel like this is evidence that he was telling the truth about that.
With her friend there.
Do you really think that's non-consensual? And apparently they were made uncomfortable by this. And to that, I'm sorry that I made you uncomfortable. But you never told me you were uncomfortable. I didn't know until days later. Now, I'm not trying to say what I did was a good thing. In general, is just bad. So to anyone out there who's watching this, don't do it. It's not a smart idea or a good idea to ever send nude photos to people on the internet you've never met. I ask that you read the document in my bio as it goes into detail about this situation as well as others. But I felt this one was the most pertinent to address. Take care, everyone. Hey.
So, that was his video responding to everything. I think the big issue there was that he was just saying, well, it was okay that I whipped out my D with a girl and her friend while I was on FaceTime because she was making advances towards me, so why not whip it out? I don't think that's very sound logic. I don't think that holds up with other escapades, and I think it's pretty inappropriate and immature. Now, I guess you are 17, so you are very immature, but when you take this moral high horse that you do in every single one of your videos, even the recent videos that you've been uploading, you act like you are the smartest, most mature guy alive.
Well, here's the thing. This is now moving into, like, this guy's seething about some other probably territory. But here's the thing that's funny about this, right? Is that, can you make a case that these were just tart teenager stuff? Yeah. Of course. It seems reasonable. The problem, though, with this whole thing is, why is it that Oliver is so adamant about trying to make his opposition look like they're in some way deviants who are going after young girls or kids or things like that? Why is he so adamant about that? Why? Well, it seems pretty obvious to me the reason he's such a staunch, like, or he frames all of his videos this way is because he essentially is trying to obfuscate, right? He's trying to obfuscate and move away from the ideas that he himself is an actual degenerate who engaged in these kinds of behaviors. And it's like, 17 to 15, they're all sending each other nudes on Snapchat because they're all teenagers. Okay. I get it. But it's the fact that he tries to make all of his opposition look like they are engaging in the behavior he actually engaged in that is bothersome to me. I love few things as much as the internal leftist wars over goonery and consent. It's a cycle that never fails to entertain. That's true.